Hey guys, I'm back with another review. This time I'm going to be doing the March 28th, 2019 show that was at Korakuen Hall. Mostly because this one was a very important show. Pretty much every single belt that could be defended was defended. The only reason why probably every single belt wasn't defended was because Utami currently holds 3 singles belts? Yeah, 3 singles belts, and she can only defend one at a time, obviously. So, starting off for this show, there were a couple things that I was not really looking forward to. And one of those things was most of the matches had someone in them that I didn't think was going to do a very good job. Now, during this time in Stardom, there are 2 foreigners right now, 2 main foreigners, Gosha Kong and Rebel Kell. And unfortunately, in my opinion, I think both of them are pretty bad. I have gotten into some conversations and discussions with people online about this because a lot of people seem to like Gosha. I really haven't seen anybody try to defend Rebel, but I just think that both of them are pretty bad. And I'll explain why during their matches. So, the World of Stardom title belt, I was not looking forward to because it had Gosha Kong in it. I was not looking forward to the SWA title belt match either because it had Rebel in it. And I was not looking forward to the high speed title belt because I didn't believe Zaya could do a good high speed match. If it was a regular match, I think she would do perfectly fine and maybe even put on a really great match. But I did not believe in her to be able to put on a good high speed match. Every other match I was really looking forward to. The Woman of Honor belt, I was really looking forward to because, as you guys know, Natsuko is in my top 4 right now in favorite wrestlers. And I feel like she doesn't really get the credit that she deserves from the company. And seeing her in this match, it really made me happy. So, her going after Mayu was awesome to me. So that was one of the matches I was looking forward to. And the other one was Momo versus Miyagi, which I just knew was going to be a banger. I mean, come on, it's Momo. I mean, has Momo even had a bad title defense since getting it? I don't think so. I mean, I could be wrong, but I really don't think she's dropped the ball in any way. And I believe one of the matches that was just okay, it was against, I believe, a foreigner, and I just don't think they really clicked. It was just an okay match. It wasn't really that great, but. So those 2 matches I was really looking forward to. And the first 2 matches I thought were going to be pretty fun. So let's get to the first match, and I'll be reviewing each match, and I will be talking about the special event that happened in the middle. The first match of the night was a battle royale, where you could be eliminated by pin, submission, or over the top rope. And the participants were mainly just rookies. There was Han-in, who was replacing Hannah because Hannah was in the hospital at the time. Then there was Hina and Rina. And then there was Leo Onozaki, Saya Ida, Jungle Kiona, and then Natsu Sumire. Now, it was clear just from the start that it was going to be Stars teaming up, John teaming up, and then Sumire was going to be alone. But then I started thinking, well, Han-in wasn't originally supposed to be a part of this match. It was supposed to be Hannah. So usually when they have to replace someone at last minute like this, the person replacing them tends to just do what they do. But I'm not entirely convinced that that's what was going to happen, or that's what happened. Because when I did my picks, because me and my dad, whenever we watch a big show like this, we always look at the card and we pick who we think's going to win, lose, how it's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And then whoever got the most points at the end wins. And on this one, when I originally saw the casting with Hannah, I picked Hannah to win and the first elimination being Rina. Now, once I heard that Hannah was, getting taken out, then obviously the only person I could think of to win was Jungle. Surprisingly, though, I got surprised. In the match, the elimination order went First was Ryo Onizaki by Hanan, Rina, and Hina all teaming up together. Then Hanan got eliminated almost right after by Hina and Rina teaming up on her. Now that's the part that I think they probably changed, because I don't see Hana having been eliminated like that. Even if it was both of them, I just can't see Hana being low enough on the card for something like that to happen. The next elimination was Rina and Hina together by Jungle Kiona from a Boston Crab. They both tapped. I find it kind of hilarious that these two always do pretty much everything together. In numerous matches, they've pinned people together, they've been pinned together, they've submitted together. When I was picking my choices, when I picked the first one out and I chose Rina, I even asked if both Rina and Hina got eliminated at the same time, if my pick still counted. Obviously it wouldn't, and I didn't get points anyway because Leo was the first elimination. Now let's take a look at some of the match. Before in my reviews, I've been kind of finding it hard to transition into the part where I talk about the match by showing things on screen. And from now on, I'm just going to say, let's look at the match and then go into it. I don't care if it's awkward. I'm really bad at transitions, as you guys all know from the ends of my videos. So let's look at the match. Partway in, it was down to the last three, and Jungle was fighting off both Sumire and the Interfering Now, as this was Now's last match. Now played a bigger part in this than she usually does. Jungle gets eliminated in the only realistic way for her by going over the top rope, from Sumire hitting her and Now pulling her. With it down to Sumire and Saya, I was pretty convinced that Sumire was going to walk out of this, but Saya being outclassed here against Sumire didn't really do too much, because she never gave up and was actually able to pin her. Saya getting her first win here was awesome. Me and my dad got we got really excited. I jumped out of my seat. We were just completely blown away. Neither one of us thought she was going to win. And it's really not that hard to believe. Saya kind of has the it factor. She's not there yet in ability. She's very naturally gifted. I mean, when I say naturally gifted, I don't mean she didn't have to work for where she is now. What I mean by naturally gifted is she's able to pick this stuff up quickly in comparison to other rookies, like Leo and the younger girls and like Shiki and all them. Now, seeing Saya win made me super happy because, as you guys all know, she's one of my favorite rookies in a while. I liked her right off the bat way more than I liked Utami right off the bat, and pretty much any rookie that came out in the last couple of years. Her winning almost wiped away the pain I felt after I realized that this is now the 5th show in a row that Jungle has lost. Now, she didn't lose herself in those matches, but her team that she was a part of did lose, and this is the 5th show. Moving on to the next match, it was Queen's Quest versus Stars. And I was really, really looking forward to this one because Queen's Quest and Stars always have really great chemistry, and it's a 4-on-4, which means we're going to see a lot of back and forth, a lot of team attacks, and the people in the matches are what's really important. It was, on the Queen's Quest side, it was Tam Nakano, Arisa Hoshiki, Starlight Kid, and Saki Kashima, versus Konami, Azumi, B.A. Priestley, and Viper. Now, this obviously sounds like an absolute crazy matchup because every single person in that match, and I mean every single person, is an outstanding wrestler. I know some people are still on the fence about BA, but I honestly think that they are being tainted by their original views of her. I know when she first came to Stardom, it wasn't really the best. I mean, busting open Momo's mouth, dropping Hazuki on her neck. She seemed very unsafe. But she's really good now. Like, she's honestly one of the more safer wrestlers in Stardom. She's a really good wrestler, in my opinion. So let's look at the match. God, that's so dumb. The first noticeable change is that Arisa changed her hair. It seems odd that both Arisa and Yuri changed their hair right after all of that hair versus hair match teasers. And I'm not a particular fan of what she changed it to. Now, with the newest show, she had actually changed it again. I don't know if she was just in the middle of stylize it, but it seems to be a lot lighter now, and it's styled in a different way, and it actually looks really good now. The match starts off with some comedy by having Starlight Kid and Viper face off, and they do that whole Viper walks out, Starlight Kid doesn't realize it, turns around, and then acts all surprised in her own way. It was very nicely done. It had me giggling. And Starlight Kid has been incredibly impressive lately. It doesn't feel like she's holding back anymore, and her wrestling has gotten so much better because of it. Later on in the match, Stars had to team up to take down Viper, as Viper being one of the strongest and most unstoppable members of the roster, even though she's a foreigner. It usually takes more than one person to take her down like this. Tam and Arisa continue their mini feud by using each other's bodies to hurt BA and their partner at the time. Arisa seems to lack motivation lately, in my opinion, but with this match, I'm confident in saying that she's really stepped up her game again. The match rounds out with Azumi and Starlight Kid in the ring once again, and this is usually how it happens with these two teams facing each other, is that Azumi and Starlight Kid usually finish it. These two have so much chemistry together. Everything they do is just pure golden. And surprisingly, Azumi was able to actually pin Starlight Kid in this. That doesn't happen very often, and it really surprised me. My picks for this show, for these two matches at least, were completely wrong, because every other match was super predictable. Next was Shikibu Sawa's retirement ceremony, and in my opinion, this was probably the saddest retirement that we've seen in Stardom over the last couple of years. That also includes Yoko Bito's and Hiromi Mamura's. I don't believe anybody else has had a retirement ceremony, but those two definitely. The reason why this one was particularly sad was because she wasn't leaving because she felt her time was done in wrestling or injuries, or because they were secretly pregnant, like Yoko Bito. The reason why she retired was because apparently she had gotten a lot of hate comments from certain fans, and she just didn't want to do it anymore. And in my opinion, that is just incredibly sad. She wasn't the best wrestler, but before her injury, she was getting to the point where she was improving. She had gotten to the point, in my opinion, I like to use this phrase a lot, but she'd gotten to the point where she no longer brought down a match. She could be in any match, and she wouldn't bring it down. And believe it or not, that's harder to do than you think. I mean, a lot of the foreigners that they bring in that are supposedly super good can't accomplish that sometimes. So for her to have been at least at that point was really good in terms of progression. And she had finally gotten a really awesome looking outfit. Her outfit was always one of the lesser, the lesser ones. But with her new one, it was probably one of the top. It looked really good on her. And for her to feel like she needs to quit because of those people, that's just messed up. There's a right way and a wrong way to criticize someone. The right way is to criticize them in a way that explains why you don't like them or what they're doing wrong. Or by saying something like, I'm not a really big fan of that wrestler, it's just my opinion. But then there's the wrong way, which is apparently what all of these people did, to the point of making her want to quit. Sometimes I hate the internet. Hopefully whatever she does in the future, she succeeds at. I came up with an idea after watching it that I think would be really cool. I think it would be really awesome if she had a series on Stardom, the website, where she interviewed one of the wrestlers while showcasing a specific spot in Japan. Japan has a lot of cool scenery or kind of historical places, and it would be really cool if it was just a video of her sitting down with one of the other wrestlers, Kagetsu, Azumi, whatever, and just interviewing them, asking them basic questions that a lot of the fans would want to know. And as long as it was subtitled, I know I would watch the hell out of that. The next match was doomed to be just okay at best, and that was the SWA belt, where Utami Hayashishita was defending her belt against Rebel Kell. Now, the reason why this was doomed to be okay was because of many reasons. It's not just Rebel. I'm not blaming her completely on her. Don't get me wrong. All right, let me explain. One of the main reasons, though, is Rebel Kell is just not a good wrestler. I just don't think she's really there. I believe she's pretty new. If that's true, then it makes sense why she's not really there yet. And I just don't think that she was the right opponent for Utami. That leads me to the second point. Utami isn't ready to carry a match yet. She's just not there. She has the it factor. She's a star. She's very good for her experience level, but she's not at the level where she can carry someone. She's at the level where she can elevate a match, but not carry someone. She needs someone who's decent or good to put on a great match. That's just how it is. Now, the third reason is it takes place directly after the heartbreaking Shikibu Sawa retirement ceremony. The ceremony that legit made me cry. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I cried. Like legit. I'm not my eyes getting watery. No, I cried. Tears falling down my face. That's how sad it was. And they had to go right after. In my opinion, the match that should have went right after was the Hazuki match, since it was supposed to be a high speed belt match. And I feel like a high-paced, hard-hitting, fast, get-it-over-with match right after something like that would be a good reset for the crowd. But I don't know how, the Japanese view things, so in my opinion, that's how I would have done it. Luckily, though, Rebel didn't really bring down the match too much. I mean, it could be argued she didn't even bring down the match at all. They had an okay match. I said it was doomed to be okay at best, and they did the best they probably could at that situation. It was an okay match. Rebel did okay. Utami did okay. Everything was just kind of okay. So let's look at the match for a little bit. The only thing I really want to point out is this right here, showing the height difference between the two. Because Utami is kind of large compared to a lot of the other Stardom roster members. But Rebel Kell is pretty tall. They are saying that she's 180 centimeters, which makes her the same height as me, I believe, which was a 5'11". I don't know if I believe it that she's 5'11", but whatever. This is wrestling. People are booked wrong heights all the time to make them look more imposing or less imposing. The problem, though, is that her height is the only thing about her. Her only personality, wrestling style, everything is all just, I'm taller than you. And a lot of these girls whose whole character is, I'm taller, I'm stronger, I'm bigger than you. Like, for example, Kelly Klein back in the day. I don't know how she is now, so I'm not going to comment on that. I just mean back in the day, like in her first Stardom tour. Is that it's really boring and bad. They're super slow in the ring. They do not hit hard because they're not used to the Joshi style, and probably because they don't want to, accidentally injure someone, which is a good thing. But when your whole gimmick is I'm taller, bigger, stronger than you, and you're just obviously worse at wrestling than the other person, it makes you look one-dimensional. And like I said, I believe she's newer, so if that's true, then, of course, not everyone, most people aren't very good in the beginning. That's what practice is for. So she actually progressively got better and better as the shows went on. So, maybe she was just nervous. Who knows? The match ended with Utami hitting her torture rack bomb, which I believe this is the first time she ever said the name of the move on camera. She says it in the pre-match promo. She calls it the torture rack bomb, according to these subtitles. And I like the name. I think it's really cool. I love the move. The move is amazing. And I was a little worried, though, that she wasn't going to be able to pull it off. And she was going to rely on just the torture rack or her suplex or something to put Rebel away. But no, she used the move. She pulled it off. It was a little shaky, but about the best you can expect from someone that big. Utami I don't think she's really there yet in terms of strength. And for both of their skill levels right now, I think they did that move the best they could. And it looked good, in my opinion. I think it looked good. So Utami was able to successfully defend her title. And that leads us into the next match, which was the high-speed title match. Now, before I talk about this match, I'm going to say one thing. Hazuki with this title is doing amazing things. She's completely revamped what the high-speed title meant. She's putting on amazing matches, not match of the night matches, because nothing only 5 minutes long could possibly be match of the night matches. It's just not possible. It's either going to be a complete spot fest or just super high speed. There's no time for story, and that's what makes a match of the night. Not to say these matches aren't great. I loved every single one of her title defenses so far. They're amazing, and they're only like 5 minutes each. And in this one, it's just like the rest of them. It's super short. The problem, though, is that it's kind of a bad match. Now, the reason why it's a bad match is, like I was saying earlier in the introduction, Zaya is not a high-speed wrestler. She did way too many pauses, like rest holds. She argued like with the ref or looked at him angrily after a couple pins, like multiple times in the match. She's too slow in her moves. If you compare her match to any of the other Hazuki defense matches, you'll see what I'm talking about. Zaya is a good wrestler. She's not really my cup of tea. I'm not really a big fan of her, but I do see where people like her. She's talented, and I just realized I think my camera is like tilted. Well, it's too late now. Anyway, I see where people are coming from. She's really talented, but I just don't like her. And I think she is a bad high-speed wrestler. Just high speed, the only topic, high speed. I'm not even going to show any stills from this match because it was that bad. It was honestly the worst match of the night. It was still good though. I mean, not good. It was slightly less than okay. So it was the worst, but it wasn't bad. When I say it was a bad match, I mean in terms of what Hazuki usually does. So, on to the next match. The match that was one of the two that I was looking the most forward to, the Women of Honor title match. Mayu Iwatani was defending her title from Ring of Honor against Natsuko Tora. And when I first saw this, I was super excited, but then I started thinking, why Natsuko Tora? And then I came up with two answers to that question. And one of them makes me happy, and the other one makes me really worried. The one that makes me really happy is they think that she is good enough to put on a good enough match to legitimize this defense, and that she is a worthy opponent for it. Now that makes me happy. But then you gotta think, this person is obviously being fed to her, to Mayu. There's no way she's ever gonna win. It's not a Stardom belt, it's a belt for another promotion. And there's no way that belt is going to be lost to anybody but from someone from Ring of Honor. Now, with that in mind, is the reason they picked Natsuko is because they don't care if she loses. Now, if they don't care if she loses, that makes me really sad, because if you have a wrestler and you don't care if they lose, that means you're not pushing them, you're not backing them. And I think that is a travesty for Natsuko, because Natsuko is way better than where she is on the roster. During the match, there was a very interesting story that I didn't get until about halfway. And unfortunately, if this match does get shown to foreign fans, to Ring of Honor fans who only watch Ring of Honor, who don't watch Joshi, who don't know who Natsuko is, who doesn't really know who Mayu is, doesn't know the Joshi style, it could be perceived as either okay or bad. And the reason for that is there are at least two instances in this match where it looks like Natsuko severely messes up. And how does something that looks like it's a severe mess up not be a mess up? Well, it's because you got to take into the context of the match. both moves that Natsuko tried that she messed up were both moves that Mayu Iwatani is known for. God, this whole off-balance thing is really bothering me. Both of these moves are moves that Mayu Iwatani is known for doing. They are the double foot stomp and the dragon suplex. Never before has Natsuko Tora done the double foot stomp from the top rope or the dragon suplex. So obviously, the only reason she's attempting these is some kind of reason in the match that relates to Mayu, because those are Mayu's moves. Now, it's not 100% clear on why she's trying these moves, but I came up with a couple theories. I'll say the one that I believe personally, and then if I can remember any of the other ones by the time I'm done, I'll say those two. The one that I believed is that Natsuko is trying to show that Mayu isn't that much better than her. It's kind of like a anything you can do, I can do type thing. So in the middle of a match for a title, she attempts moves that she's never attempted before. Obviously, this is all in kayfabe because she probably tested them out before the match in practice. But I think this is really cool because it really fits Natsuko's character. Natsuko has always been very brash, arrogant, quick to anger. But lately, she's been very self-motivated. She has wanted to improve herself, to raise herself up to the ranks of the others. She feels that she isn't below them, and in my opinion, she isn't. I know I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash on that, but I really do. I'm not saying she's as good as Mayu. I'm just saying that she deserves to be up there with them. The other reason I came up with is that maybe Natsuko doesn't feel that she is good enough to beat Mayu and that she needs to start attempting things that isn't in her repertoire. And that's kind of backed by the fact that Natsuko also tries a move that she's never done before, or at least in my recollection, she's never done before. So, let's look at the match. This image right here is both awesome and hilarious to me, as it perfectly captures how weird but awesome Joshi wrestling is. To me, she looks super awesome here, but I could see how it could look really dumb to someone who isn't in the know. Natsuko took the strategy of going after Mayu's leg. Throughout the match, she inflicts a lot of damage to it. But later in the match, Mayu was able to still pull off one of her new signature moves, the moonsault. And I gotta say, Mayu's moonsaults are extremely awesome. And I love how different they are from Io's. See, Io's moonsaults are a lot more aggressive, hard-hitting, while Mayu's is a lot more floaty. The way I describe it is, Mayu's moonsaults are like how Ricochet jumps. It's like he doesn't follow, or it's like she doesn't follow the regular rules of gravity when she's doing her moonsault. Now, cutting to when Natsuko tries to double foot stomp from the top rope, she clearly smacks her face right into the mat here. And I'm honestly surprised that she got right up and continued on with the match like nothing happened. And then, this is the new move. And while it's always awesome to see someone use a new move, I hope this isn't going to be a common thing for her, as a leg drop off of the top rope is not good for your hips or spine at all, and she's already higher up on the age than most Roshi wrestlers. And a nice little tidbit, after the match, I love how Natsuko's opponents are always kind of in awe of her after. Like, they weren't really expecting her to put up that much of a fight. It really makes me appreciate Natsuko, even if she doesn't really get the push that I feel she deserves. The end is with a Natsuko being pinned from Mayu Iwatani's Dragon Suplex, which is no surprise here. I think out of all of the belts, this one was almost 100% guaranteed to have been defended. So on to the next match. I'm going to be honest, I was not looking forward to this match. It was Kagetsu defending her red belt against Gosha Kong. I guess they call her Gosha Kong, but it's spelled Goya. It's Goya. To me, whatever. Anyway, so Gosha Kong. Oh, that didn't show up. I had like paper in my hair. Anyway, so Gosha Kong, I have not been shy about my disdain for her. I don't like her as a wrestler. I don't like her style. I don't think she's good. A lot of people seem to like her, and that's great. If that's what you like, that's what you like. But this is my opinion, and my opinion is I think she's a bad wrestler. The reason why I think she's a bad wrestler is she takes the big woman gimmick way too far. Like 90% of the match is her opponent flinging around, doing everything while she stands there and does nothing. And then the times that she does do stuff, it is so slow that it's unbelievable that it A, hurt her opponent, and B, even hit her opponent. When she does her charge to the corner, it honestly feels like the opponent had enough time to like move out of the way, walk over to the other turnbuckle, and then charge her by the time she gets to the turnbuckle they were in before. I just don't like her style of wrestling. With that said, in this match, she surprised me pleasantly. While I'm not saying that she did a good job, she did a good enough job that it didn't really make the match the complete travesty that I thought it was going to be. It was okay. It was enjoyable. Like I said, the high-speed match was the worst match of the night, in my opinion. So that means that this one is the better than that one. Now, while it wasn't a complete travesty, it wasn't good either, though. So let's look at the match. The only thing I really want to show is at the end of the match, Kagetsu shows that she is an absolute beast. And she picks up Gosha Kong from the turnbuckle and then holds her. Now, usually when someone does that, they kind of transition lifting them off the turnbuckle into slamming them or something. But no, Kagetsu lifts her and holds her for like a second or two and then does her move. I am always amazed at Kagetsu's strength. And then not only that, she's able to then go on and do 3 immaculate 450 splashes off the top rope. It's just insane. And that's how she wins. After the 3 450s, she pins Gosha Kong and wins. Now, after the match, for some reason, they decided to do now Yamaguchi's retirement. And I'm not really sure why she didn't get her own segment. Maybe because she hadn't been wrestling that long. I think she'd only been wrestling for like a month or two or a couple months before she ended up, I think, stopping to wrestle because of injuries. And then she came back as a manager. Now, her retirement also isn't because of like injuries and stuff, but mostly just because she felt it was her time to move on. And her retirement speech was actually a little sad for a different reason. It was a heartwarming sad. She explains in the promo that she does that wrestling was not fun for her. When I think she described it as like 99.99% pain and 0.01% fun or something like that. And if you're wrestling is the type of job that you have to be completely passionate about, it has to be your dream, or else you're not going to be able to stick with it. It's very, very rare for someone to do it as just a job, because it sucks as a job, apparently, from everything I've heard, in terms of pay and the pain and all that and the schedule. Now, what was really heartwarming, though, was that during the promo, she explains that she was having a really, really hard time, and Kagetsu, who, I don't know if you guys know this, is the kind of the leader behind the stage. While Momo's the ace, Kagetsu's technically like the leader. I believe she's taken over as kind of like the main trainer as well. That, don't quote me on. I'm like 90% sure on that, but I could be wrong. Anyway, so she took her to the side and asked her, "Is this really what you want to do?" And now explained that she was having a hard time. And I choked up a little bit on that, and I cried too. I gotta say, it's kind of easy to make me cry, but in my opinion, this was very sad, just for a different reason. And so Kagetsu decided to make her the manager of Orotai. And in my opinion, that is so heartwarming, because then now starts going on to talk about how if it wasn't for Orotai, if it wasn't for them treating her like a family, that she wouldn't have stuck around with wrestling as long as she did. And that's really sweet. So, I don't think my emotions are correctly being expressed. But when I say something that's kind of like an emotion, like, oh, that's so funny, or that's really sad, or that's sweet. That's how I feel. I just don't know if I'm correctly portraying it. On to the next match. The main event and the match I was looking forward to the most, because obviously, Momo is the best. She puts on the best matches regularly. Every single title defense has been complete bonkers levels of awesome. And then her opponent, Andres Miyagi, who has completely come out of her shell over the last couple shows. I was a little hesitant on her in the first part. It kind of felt like she was testing the waters, kind of giving us her in like little small packages to see if the fans would like it. And then just one match, she just decided to go like full blast. She was just like, this is my character. Accept me. And I accepted her with arms wide out. She is so awesome. I love every single thing about Miyagi. She's so cool. And like, I like her so much that when I found out that Hannah was the one that got signed instead of Miyagi, although I'm super happy that Hannah got signed, don't get me wrong, I'm super happy about that, I was a little disappointed it wasn't Miyagi. And in this match, I actually came up with a theory on why Momo was chosen as the ace. Because if you look at it, there are a couple other people who might be more promising in that aspect. I mean, you got Hazuki, who's technically gifted, more agile as a wrestler than Momo is. You have other people like Tam or Saki, people who might be the better ace, or Mayu, but I think I came up with a reason why they decided to choose Momo. She was an up-and-comer, she was young, so they could put a lot of stock in her, and she could be a lifelong career in Stardom. She's homebred in Stardom as well. So, the reason I think that she was chosen is Momo is not afraid of being hurt by her opponent. And what I mean by that is whether her opponent messes up or is way too stiff or, busts her open, Momo acts like nothing happened and continues with the match. And it is clearly evident in this match. There's a certain part of this one that I'll talk about, I'll show it on screen, that clicked with me. And when I saw that, that's exactly what I thought. She can carry herself and not let herself get angry and try to harm the person back. There's a little bit of joke that I kind of tell myself that I think Momo's a little bit of a masochist. I think she enjoys the matches where she's getting beat up more than the matches where she's dominant. She can take the punishment and look good, and that is what you need in an ace. Now let's talk about the match. So, in this match, in the beginning, Momo seems to taunt Odo Tai while out healing them. Momo is really coming into her personality here. One of the bigger complaints I had with her in the beginning was she didn't really feel like she knew who she was. She was trying too hard to be Io, but she's completely found her new character. Kind of cocky, kind of arrogant, but she really derives pleasure from emotionally hurting her opponents as well as physically. Now I'll skip ahead to a lot later in the match, and I'm talking about the moment that brought upon that epiphany earlier. I believe this is the moment that causes Momo to bleed, because if you didn't notice, Momo did get busted open again. It's not noticeable in the match as much, and you can really only see it at the end very clearly, but she did start bleeding in her mouth. You can see Miyagi grab Momo right after, and it seems as if she seems to ask her something, and then Momo nods her head. Now this is the thing that I love about Stardom. They are stiff, and sometimes they hurt each other. But it's obvious that they all care about each other and actually care about the safety of the person they are facing. This cemented Miyagi for me. I was already on her side and liked her in Stardom, but this event right here completely convinced me that she belonged in Stardom. I love this move so much. I think it's awesome. She sets her up for a back suplex and then slams her in the mat right in front of her. I think it's really cool and impactful, and I don't remember seeing it done by anybody else. I don't really watch too many other promotions other than Stardom, so please forgive my ignorance if it's a very common move. Fast forwarding to a part of the match where it gets very, very stiff very, very quickly. These slaps were incredibly hard, And they really showed the tenacity these two had. They wanted to put each other away. But then something happens where I don't understand why this happened. I don't know why they did the spot. Momo was way too far away for a swanton dive. Either way, the move was done well though. And Momo most likely didn't take any kind of punishment from it, since it seemed like Miyagi landed on her lower back, and only thing that hit Momo were the legs. The match ended with Momo hitting the Peach Sunrise to successfully defend her belt, I believe for the 12th time. And it's gotta be the point where Momo's in the running for Joshi Wrestler of the Year for Tokyo Sports Illustrated. I mean, it's already April, and I don't know or have heard of anybody who has put on as many consistently amazing matches as Momo did. I mean, her title run is kind of legendary if you think about all of the people that she's beaten. She has literally ran a train through every top person in the promotion. And one of the only people left, Utami, she just challenged. So the only thing is I'm a little worried that they're going to give the belt to Utami. If Utami loses one of her singles belts before this match, then the chances of Utami taking that white belt rise a lot. I'm going to be cheering on Momo, but it could go either way. This show was absolutely both amazing and underwhelming. There were some of the best matches they've had all year in the show, but also some of the most underwhelming title defenses they've had this year. It's kind of a toss-up. Most of the show was really, really good. The first two events, really great. Main event, amazing. The Women of Honor title belt, amazing. So that's 4 matches in a 7-match show. So, technically on, percentages, it is more good than bad. But everything else was just, okay. So it's not like it's lowering it that much, I highly recommend this show. Let me know what your favorite match was. And if you believed everyone who won was the right person to win. I feel like everyone who won was the right person to win. If Jungle didn't win that first match, then I definitely wanted Saya to win. I think that's really great. That was her first win. So happy for her. Also, a little tidbit. Over the last couple years, there have only been 5 instances of blood being drawn in Stardom, and Momo has been a part of 3 of them as the person bleeding. And that's not counting her chipped tooth, because I don't believe she bled during that, so. Bye.